Every congregation ought to have a vision. In other words, they ought to see some things that have to do with the call of God. What is God calling that congregation to be and to do? And every congregation ought to have some values. Those are those things that govern and guide how we pursue the vision that God has given us. At Grace, we have those. They are part of the fabric of who we are. They're our DNA. We want to give you some insight into those things that are of high value to us. We believe the Bible really teaches a multi-generational approach to ministry. Every generation shall declare to another generation the wonderful works of God. And in addition to handing down the testimonies and stories of God working, it's about bringing the younger generation along, modeling ministry and mentoring them to the place where they then take the mantle and do the stuff of ministry. At Grace, we're really committed to that, and I am deeply committed to seeing that kind of ministry happen through the lives of this younger generation. At every campus, there's a campus pastor who preaches along with me. At every campus, there are worship leaders who are in training so that one generation is training another. One of our ministries, the Noise Ministry, which reaches hundreds of younger children up through teenagers, is training worship leaders through dance and music to lead in their respective generational age, and then as they grow, to bring another generation along. We believe that's what ministry ought to be about. From old to the young, we are people who are serving the Lord fervently together, every generation, imparting to another one the wonderful works of God. Cameron and Desi and Becky and I, as pastoral leaders here at Grace North County, model this multi-generational approach to ministry.
Our heart is for reaching the North County for Christ, to make a difference in the lives of our city that can impact our world.
We believe every person is valuable to God and to His kingdom.
At Grace, we have a favorite saying, and that is that the church ought to look like heaven. Young and old and in the middle. It ought to have people of every ethnic background, so there ought to be great diversity. And the church ought to be people of every socioeconomic group. So from all walks of life and from all levels in terms of people's provision and resource. That ought to be what the church is about.
We really value a transparency and a commitment to a small group. It's where discipleship happens and spiritual growth, where you learn the principles and the way of God.
Small groups are so important. It's a way of connecting and growing with others, socially and spiritually.
We want to provide opportunities for you to be able to use your gifts and your talents that God's given to you, whether it be in the children's ministry or the technical team, or maybe in the worship area. We will help you find a place to serve God here at Grace.
The normal Christian life is for every believer to be fully devoted to Christ and His cause.
Here at Grace, we are committed to helping you grow in your walk with the Lord through Bible studies, the preaching of the Word, and various ministry opportunities.
We should be authentic followers of Christ, continuing to grow in Him by learning His way, manifesting His power, and serving our world.
Here at Grace, we believe that prayer transforms people, cities, and nations.
Through the years, we've seen God answer prayer in a dramatic way.
We embrace our city in all of its diversity, both ethnically and economically, by every means possible, resulting in ministry that impacts our city.
We recognize the heart of God to transform cities, and so we actively support the city-reaching process in the context of the larger body of Christ.
We have a worldwide calling. Therefore, we partner with other ministries throughout the world in proclaiming the message of Jesus Christ.
We have a commitment to minister through a spirit of excellence here at Grace, and we strive in everything we do to be the best we can be, to take what God has put into our hands in terms of stewardship and to use them to the best of our abilities.
We believe the local church is the hope of the world, not an institution. but people who are themselves the body of Christ.
God actively demonstrated His heart for the lost people, and so should we by reaching out to others.
At Grace, we believe that God is exactly who He says He is, and we really believe that He can do everything He says that He can do.
Everyone likes to receive an invitation, and everyone loves to receive a gift. We believe in inviting our friends, family, and coworkers to receive the most valuable gift they could ever receive, and that's the gift of Jesus Christ.